Yes, guys, this is Raheem for Be Real Boxing. I'm here with Dominic Ingle. How you doing?
I'm doing alright, thanks.
Alright, so Kell Brook's opponent's finally been announced. It's been a very long waiting for him to finally announce his opponent. It's against Jojo Dan. How do you go about fighting Jojo Dan?
Generally with two arms and two legs. That's the best way to fight somebody. And luckily, Kell Brook has got two legs. It was a different story a couple of months back. He was walking around on one with the other one in a cast. His boxing future and boxing career looked in jeopardy, like he might not fight again. But being the person that he is, he's pulled it all together. He's dragged himself back to fitness, and he's looking forward to that fight on the 28th in Sheffield. Jojo Dan's a tough kid, southpaw, awkward, tough. He's earned his place to challenge Kell, and I'm sure he's going to come over here, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and obviously try and take the belt off Kell.
Why was it important to take the mandatory fight now rather than later?
There could be some big fights in the summer for Kell, and this fight could have been pushed back a couple of months, but somewhere down the line it would have interfered with the bigger fights. The IBF make you fight the mandatories. There's no way out of it. If you don't fight the mandatory, you get stripped, and there's an old saying, better sooner than later. At this point, any fight would have been a tough fight for Kell, considering what's happened to his leg, and it's going to be the acid test when he steps in the ring. But I've had a good look at Jojo Dan. He's tough. I think Kell's got the tools to beat him. He'll do well to stop him. He's very durable. Before the injury, I would say this kid probably lasts 9 or 10 rounds with Kell. It could be a points job in March, depending how Kell comes on in the next couple of weeks. So we'll just have to wait and see. He's a bit of a known quantity apart from what I've seen on the internet. So we've got some good southpaw kids in the gym. Kell's well adapted to fighting southpaws, and he's got a very good track record against them. Knocked out Kevin McIntyre in 2 minutes first round, but beat Stuart Elwell 2 or 3 rounds. So he's well suited to fighting southpaw, so it's going to be a case of what happens on the night.
How was inspiring? Has it affected Kell Brook with being stabbed in the leg?
No, his balance is fine. Like I say, it's just the only thing now is cosmetic. He's got a big scar across his thigh, which you won't see on the night because he wears long shorts. But his balance is perfect. His power's still there. Obviously, we brought back into training very carefully. He's had a lot of medical supervision, a lot of experts looking at his leg and telling him exactly how to break back into training. And the workload, is coping with it very well, training very well, and so far nothing seems to be affecting him.
Since he's been stabbed, you've been with him a lot. Has it mentally affected him?
Kell Brook keeps a lot to himself. It all goes off in his head. A lot of fighters are very, very mentally strong, and whether it's affected him or not, he only would know that. From the outside, you can't see. Fighting, training, you don't see any difference. But that's just a thing that you have to overcome as a fighter. That the best fighters are very mentally strong, and maybe it's just like another fight. Getting stabbed in the legs is just another battle he's got to overcome, and that seems to be the way that he's approached it. So, luckily we've not seen any. He's not got any mental problems as far as that's concerned.
All right, you said in the press conference earlier on that when you got the phone call, I heard that Kell Brook got stabbed. The first thing that come to your head that you thought he had passed away.
Well, the first thing I thought is I hope he's not dead, and I didn't actually think. The first thing you think is when somebody says he's being stabbed, you automatically think somebody's being killed. But my immediate thought was I hope he's not dead. And then shortly afterwards I found out he was just critically ill. So you have that shock moment when you first hear it, and you fear for the worst. Luckily it wasn't the worst. And like I say, he came through it. He showed a true fighting spirit and pulled himself through, and full credit for that.
There's a lot of talk of Kell Brook and Amir Khan happening. What's your thoughts on that as being Kell Brook's trainer?
Yeah, I'm saying it's a good fight. Whichever way you look at it, it's Amir Khan and Kell Brook are undeniably Britain's two best welterweights, two best fighters probably. Khan's done a lot of fights in America, and he's obviously chasing the big names, just like everybody is. Everybody wants to fight Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather before the careers are finished. And I suppose with Amir Khan fighting a few times in America, is a bit better known to the American public. He probably thinks he deserves the fight first, but Kell Brook is a legitimate champion at 147. He's the IBF champion, and for me, it should be Kell fighting the likes of Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. But Amir Khan would be a fantastic fight, in Britain. It'd be a stadium fight. It'd be massive. You haven't got me there, have you? It's a stadium fight. So, but both parties have got to agree and they've got to come to terms, and that's a job for Eddie to sort out. I just have to train Kell.
I never got a lot of time to talk to Kell because he's really busy with media. However, I want to ask you, what was that feeling when the announcer announced and the new?
Obviously, the feeling for Kell must have been absolutely amazing. It must be, one of the best feelings in the world. And I think afterwards he said it's as good as when you see your first child being born. And for me as a trainer, it's a job well done. You realise that the work you've put in, the work he's put in, the work everybody around him's put in, has paid off. So, it's a fantastic feeling that the job's completed. It's a very long plane ride home from LA, being a loser, and it was a great journey home. It went by fast. We got back to Sheffield, and it was great. So it must be, it was a fantastic feeling having another world champion in the camp, and like I said, job well done.
Also, it was a long journey getting the world title fight. 3 times the fight got cancelled against Alexander. Then finally it was Porter. How was Kell going through then?
Like I say, it was a frustrating time for me. I can only imagine it must have been that such a frustrating time for Kell, because that's all he does in life. That's what he is. He's a boxer. That's his career. I've got other things to focus on. I've got other fighters. You've got other things going off. But when you've put in weeks and weeks and weeks of training, being away from your family, your friends, your kids, for nothing to happen. It's like, what am I doing this for? And he went through that, time a few times, and he trained for that fight, and eventually he ended up fighting Carson Jones, who we boxed before, and he took his frustrations out on Carson Jones and stopped him. Then he boxed Senchenko, put in a great performance.
We had actually fought Ricky Hatton as well.
Yeah, we obviously fought Ricky Hatton. So, for Kell, he kept himself to be able to get up for those fights when realistically he should have been fighting for a world title. Eventually when that world title came, you could almost see Kell thinking, this is not going to slip through my grasp. This is going to be, a job. I've got to do this job. I've missed it too many times. I'm not letting this chance go. And I remember him saying on the way-in to Sean Porter, hold that belt for the last time because tomorrow it's going to be mine. And Sean Porter laughed. And Kell, you could see Kell had plenty of intent, as if to say, that's going to be my belt.
Talking about the Porter fight, it was like Brook weren't fighting as we've seen, but in the later rounds, he come back and fought as Brook could fight in his own game plan.
Yeah, I've seen the plan with Sean Porter was you're never gonna beat Sean Porter that kind of game that jump on you and work on the inside. Kell Brook's not that type of fighter. Kell Brook's a control fighter, and the plan was always to nullify Sean Porter in the first 6 rounds. While still winning the rounds and then jumping on him, taking it to him in the next 6 rounds. That's what Kell did. He stuck to the plan. Frustrated Sean Porter. I said to Kell, after 5 or 6 rounds of him getting nowhere with these shots, he's going to start losing confidence in himself, and that's when you start taking over. Don't be trying to fight with him, in the early rounds. You've got to nullify what he's got, and then score the points and win the rounds, and then later on start taking it to him and pushing him on the back foot, and that's what he did.
All right. And also another fighter, Kid Galahad. What's going on with his career?
Just, sorry, 1 minute. Greg, just 2 minutes. All right, I'm just going to get my left back. Yeah, Galahad's trained alongside Kell Brook. They motivate each other. They challenge each other in the gym. They might be different weights, but they're very competitive. And they bounce off each other. It's they're the top fighters in the gym at the minute. And hopefully 2015 is going to be a good year for him. Some big fights coming up. And we're only a couple of weeks into this new year. And if he has as good a year as next year, he should be right up for a world title by the end of it.
All right, thank you for giving me your time to be a real boxer.